Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm going to do a little bit of a different episode today. Usually I like to share stories about, how me or someone else worked through something and got to the other side, how they did it, and kind of have a happy ending. And we are not yet at a happy ending place right now for me. It's really a story today about me dealing with some chronic pain. And I am not at the other side of the finish line yet. In fact, I am at the starting line, but I have been here for, it looks like about 6 months now. So the reason why I wanted to do this episode, and I am not feeling great today. And I thought, you know what, that's a perfect time to record because I want to talk about all the things I'm going to try and have tried to work through some pain, and hopefully that'll give you some ideas. I like to spark someone to go down their own rabbit hole, figure out what could work for you, what might not work for you. And I also want to share how I'm mentally going through this, the tools that I'm kind of leaning into, because I am optimistic. I will feel better. The goal is to feel better by the end of this year. I'm recording this in August of 2024 right now. So here's the backstory. I guess in March, some knee pain that I've had off and on since 2010 flared up. And with my knee pain comes lower back pain and hip pain. There's like a trifecta of challenges. Now, I have had this lower back pain, hip pain. First time I can remember it being really bad was 2001. So that's a long time ago. And that was when I was working at a really bad job. Well, a job I didn't like because it was an agency job. And I'm going to apologize. My voice is not great today, but I'm just going to do this anyway. I was working at this agency. They were called Taylor Spruills. I was doing vacuum packaging, and it was like this company run by all these really old school men, and it was just like not a fun place to work. And the production manager there, oh my gosh, I could not handle her militant ways, like the type of production manager that would say, you need to be at your desk ready to work at 9 a.m., not like here at the office getting your coffee and milling about. At 9 a.m., you have to be sitting down ready to work at 9 a.m. And that shit drives me crazy. I'm not a child. I know how to work. And also, if you're especially a creative, you're processing and thinking things through, even if you're not sitting at your desk with your ass in the chair. So anyway, didn't like this job. And I can remember having a lot of back pain at this particular stressful job that didn't last too long because 9/11 happened. This is a long time ago. 9/11 happened that September, obviously, and one of our major clients was a travel company. So anyway, a whole bunch of us got let go. So I've had a history of this kind of pain and stress. And then 2010, I tore my meniscus on my left side from a boot camp class. Fitness boot camp classes were like really popular back then. I didn't remember actually doing anything specific, but it happened. So lots of pain, and it's kind of come off and on and flares up, flares down. And for some reason, this March kind of seemed to flare up, and I kept waiting for it to kind of go down and everything to kind of click back into place. And I went to all these different practitioners that I go to because I'm the person people ask, like, who do I see for this, this, and this? And I have a whole roster of people that are absolutely amazing. Um, and the weird thing is, like, nothing has really been helping get to the root of the issue. I would have a bit of relief for a couple days and things would go back to where it's not feeling good. And um, it has been so bad that just walking the dog is like sometimes a real stretch. Um, I can't bend my leg a lot of the days. I can't straighten my leg a lot of days. It's like slightly bent, but not really. And it's just honestly been debilitating and chronic pain. And when I sleep, it's like someone with a knife is attacking me and my leg. So just stabbing knife pains, like I'll turn over and it's just like stab, stab, stab. So I'm not really sleeping. I haven't slept much in the last 6 months. And that in combination, and I think this is exasperating it, is like everyone's got, a lot of women have hormone things going. Once you hit 35, guys, like things can start to go really wacky. So I'm looking at that as well as part of this plan of treatment. But the bottom line is a lot of things haven't been helping, and I've been really frustrated, really upset, and just not being able to be active in the way I want to. And just the smallest things are taking a huge amount out of me. My bandwidth right now is doing my client work. I have some design clients and I started a new one in April. So there was a learning curve there, and it's a great fit, but it's, really hard starting with new clients, new projects, and there's a learning curve. I have had to keep my coaching clients to a very small minimum because of my bandwidth and me not having the energy and capacity to work with a lot of people. And doing this podcast, like those are kind of like a couple clients, some design work, this podcast. That's about all I can handle right now. I'm having to cancel most social plans because it's just too much. And there was one day when I just needed balsamic vinegar. I don't like weird salad dressings. I just like oil and vinegar. And I drove to the grocery store and I'm sitting outside the parking lot and it was really busy. So I had to park kind of far away. And I had to spend about 10 minutes to psych myself up to just walking across the parking lot, getting the vinegar, and literally like debating in my head, do I actually need the vinegar? Can I go without it? Can I? No. I really wanted my chickpea salad. So, and parking lots stress me out like no tomorrow. And it's interesting because I feel like this is actually tying into the story and this process that I'm kind of figuring out is that I feel really vulnerable going through a parking lot because I can't get out of the way quickly. I can walk straight, but I can't do any kind of pivot, any lateral move, anything where I have to like turn suddenly. It's like excruciating. So when I'm going through a parking lot and cars are flying everywhere, it like really stresses me out. And I find it interesting. And this is one of the things I've been sharing with I'll talk about one of the therapists that I'm seeing, a body therapist that I hopefully is going to help. That to me is a lot of symbolism and reflective of my nervous system and what's happening. And ultimately, I think my nervous system has kind of reached a breaking point for a whole bunch of reasons. And a lot of them, I really don't know what they are yet. There's like a freeze response. So like if I'm in a parking lot and there's cars flying around, I feel like I can't move and I just have to stay there. So that is a freeze response. If you think of fight or flight or freeze, it's so interesting and not ironic really, because I know how things work with the universe. Last week, I had a great interview. It's going to come out shortly with Sarah Kleiner, who is a nervous system expert. And she talks a lot about what happens to the body when it's in fight, flight, or freeze. And I started to put more pieces together of this puzzle. So basically, I'm sitting with this huge puzzle. I feel like I have a couple pieces figured out, but I have a long way to go. So anyways, I managed to get the balsamic vinegar. Yay. But small things like that are such a stretch for me right now, which is just completely wild as someone who is a high achieving, kind of high productive, like, let's just get things done kind of person. So having to really accept the limitations that I have physically is a challenge. And then the chronic pain is affecting my productivity overall in just how everything I'm doing. So I'm just having to trying to be kind to myself in terms of what I'm able to accomplish. And there's still some days where I'm like, I am actually impressed that I got through everything I needed to get through. I have been offloading a lot of my responsibilities since especially June. So this kind of started up in March. I had been doing an outplacement coaching job part-time, which in many ways I loved, with a company, which I was specifically working with people who have been let go from their job due to cutbacks, restructures, things like that. And I helped them transition with a whole team, a resume writing team, and people that also look for jobs, and just really help them through that process. And I really love it because I know what it's like to be sitting there not knowing how to find a job, what to do, like what's my next paycheck gonna be, like all of that. I did it for 18 months, and I think it did take a pretty big toll on me emotionally. Being an empath, I take on people's stuff as much as I try not to. And I did leave the job in June because I couldn't really do it anymore. And again, it was like super fulfilling, and I loved a lot of the people I worked with. I felt like it really made a difference, but it was not something I could do long term. So I don't know if part of that experience of that job has taken a bit of toll on my body, but I know this for sure. I know that my body is out of alignment, like literally twisted. Like I can feel it's so wonky. It's tired. It is out of balance. It's just really weird. It's just not feeling right. Now, on the plus side, this month marks 2 years of me not having any kind of cold or flu, which is amazing. So my immune system is just rocking it. I've gone 3 years without getting sick, so I'm hoping to beat that. So that's working really well. I guess I'm doing something right, but the other parts of my body, like the structure, mobility, all of that, my nervous system is not doing so well right now. Okay, so I've tried all these different practitioners, not kind of getting anywhere. And then you start to get in that space of hopelessness, despair, nothing's going to work. I'm stuck like this forever. And that is not helpful. And I know that is an easy default setting for myself because having grown up with parents that took 15 years to divorce and not feeling like there was ever going to be a light at the end of that tunnel, I feel like that set me up for a really good, bad mindset of things don't get better or things are never going to like resolve. So I have to consciously kind of push back on that. One thing that I always remind myself of now is that in 2019, I got through a pretty big health scare. I talk about that in another episode that's called A Health Crisis, Total Panic, and Ditching Coffee. So if you go back to that episode, it talks about how I got through a pretty crazy illness in 2019. And I have to think back to that and remind myself that I also was feeling at that time that nothing was really going to get better. And this was just like a total nightmare that was never going to end. And it did. So I remind myself about that right now. And I saw a great post on Instagram. A coach posted it. I can't remember who. And the post was something like, "You think you have tried everything, but you haven't." And it goes on to explain how we get in our heads about how fast things should be fixed or resolved, or we say things like, "I've tried everything and nothing works." Well, that's not actually true. So the truth is, most of the time we try a certain amount of things and we expect that after that certain amount of things should be fixed, things should be better. So for example, let's say I've gone to 10 different practitioners at this point, which is probably about accurate. I expect that one of those persons should have been able to help me. But the truth is, it might take 11 practitioners, 22, 200, I don't know. And I have to be willing to go on that journey. even though it's exceptionally time consuming. And let's face it, this also costs a lot of money to do these appointments and to try different things. So that can also add to stress. But I do remind myself that I haven't tried everything. I have kind of a plan in place right now, and that does help. So what I am trying right now, I've heard about it for a while. I am trying something called Bowen therapy, and I'm going to just read what it is, because when people ask me, I don't actually know how to explain it. It's kind of like the easiest way I can describe it. It's kind of like osteopathy. So it's kind of gentle movements. And again, interestingly, my osteopath has not been able to make headway with this thing that's going on with me. So let me just tell you what this Bowen therapy is, and then I'll leave a link below and you can start to explore it. Not a huge amount of people do it. So developed in Australia by the late Tom Bowen, Bowen therapy is a system of moves that challenges soft tissue, releases its congestion, and stimulates energy flow. It relieves pain and inflammation and is an overall tonic to the body's innate ability to heal itself. Its positive effects on nerve, muscle, and connective tissue provides lasting relief from pain and misalignment in the simplest and most effective manner. For more than 40 years, it is being used successfully to treat tens of thousands of people suffering from a huge variety of ailments, many saying it is the most effective, long-lasting, and relaxing treatment they have ever experienced. So it's not a really invasive thing. It's very much about mind-body connection. When you fill out the intake form, it's a lot about your emotions, like the positive ones and the challenging ones you're experiencing. And I've had only 2 sessions, so it's hard to kind of say right now, but we are getting, I think, closer to the root cause, which is a misalignment of the hips causing all this pain, and especially in the knee. So I don't actually think the knee is the culprit. I'm going through the imaging process now, and so far nothing's really showing too much other than I won't know more until I have the MRI, which is not for a little while. But I don't intuitively think the MRI is going to show much more than a little bit of, meniscus still damage and maybe some arthritis. I was figure skated for so many years, and my left leg was my landing leg. So it took a lot of, beating over the years. But I don't think it's going to show too much that's like, oh, wow, like this is different. This has changed. So the hip issue is a huge thing for a lot of people, especially women. We hold a lot of tension there, stress. It's just some mecca of emotions sit there. And again, I am usually pretty intuitive as to like what could be triggering something, what emotions are like kind of stuck, what's going on. And I'm really stuck on this one. I'm perplexed. I don't know exactly what's happening. So I had the first session. I really love this practitioner. I trusted her immediately, where we kind of, she started to see like how wonky my body is. And like, it's just physically so out of whack. And I have seen multiple chiropractors, and that didn't actually get me anywhere. Again, in the past, it's been amazing for me, not this time. And then I just had a second session maybe 4 days ago. And I'm still in a lot of pain. So I haven't had any miraculous like release of pain. However, I did 2 nights ago sleep 7 hours straight, which I honestly have not done in at least a year. Especially since this pain started 6 months ago. I mean, if I sleep 2 or 3 hours straight, that's pretty common like that. So I'm getting really interrupted sleep. So that's great that I had some sleep. So yesterday I started to feel like a human again, even though I was still in a ton of pain. I could mentally just feel a little bit more optimistic. Today, not feeling, to be honest, just as optimistic, because I just had a lot of pain last night. And this morning I couldn't really go out for a walk. So I will say one of the things I am like literally forcing myself to do is a 2-kilometer walk every day. Now, I started this about 2 months ago. For some reason, I saw a coach I know online posting that she was doing a 365-day walking challenge. And I was like, I'm going to do that, even though I can literally barely walk some days. And I was like, I can't not move. Like the worst thing you can do is be completely sedentary and not move. That's just not good. And walking is, I think, one of the best things in the world you can do for anything. Like it's just so therapeutic. And I go into a park where there's like trees and I need to connect to nature because at the root of nature is healing. So I've been doing a 2 kilometer walk every day, even though it's some days are really hard. And then that becomes mentally like, oh my God, like what the F is wrong with me? I'm just, I have friends running half marathons and I'm like just trying to get through this. So then I find myself being hard on myself and I can't do that because right now it's all I can do. So 2 kilometers is just like 1.25 miles. That's all I can do. But I've been really consistent. I haven't missed a day. And what do I always say? Consistency for the win. So I'm sticking to that. I'm doing it. The other thing that's like kind of stressing me out is that I don't know what the technical term is for this, but one of my physical therapist people was saying that you're losing a lot of muscle strength because your body's basically going into protective mode. And so you're really getting weak because it's trying so hard to just protect yourself from the pain. So a lot of the exercises that I've done over the last few years to kind of strengthen, I feel like it's just like all gone out the window and that doesn't make me feel so great. Because yeah, you just feel weaker and that's not helping. So that makes it even harder to push yourself through just something as simple as a 2 kilometer walk because your body just feels like, weak. So everything I'm doing right now is really to just prevent more loss of strength. I'm not really trying to build strength. I'm just trying to like stay like as mobile as possible. And it just and be kind to my body, like just keep moving, movement, mobility, everything I can do. So I'm going to keep going with the bone therapy. What is also interesting about it is that she told me not to combine it with any other modalities. So you're talking to someone here who loves to throw the kitchen sink at things, do a million different things, is a multi-passionate, multi-potentialate, polymath, all those things. And here I am listening to someone say, you know what? I don't want you doing anything else. Like no acupuncture, no, don't even go for massage, she said. And I was like, what? Like, so I have to trust the process here. And I'm kind of finding that challenging. And then I find it really interesting. I was like, oh, well, isn't that interesting that you're telling someone who is kind of addicted to doing multiple things that they can actually only do one? And there was a really small part of myself that felt relief. I was like, oh, I get to cancel all these other things that I was going to try and do or whatever. So I'm rolling with it. And I'm going to keep going to do at least 10 Bowen therapy sessions, see what that does, what happens. And then I will give you guys updates because I know there's a lot of people out there who are going through chronic pain now and way worse than what I'm going through. So I get that this is, not nearly as awful as what some people go through every single day. I absolutely understand that. But I also recognize that we can't downplay what we're going through or dismiss it, even if it's not as bad as someone else's, because that's actually, I think, disrespectful to our bodies, and we're not listening to our bodies and acknowledging the pain it's going through. And I have to truly acknowledge what I'm going through. And I do have to be curious about, what my body's trying to tell me, what the message is here. And that will be part of the journey to figure out how I can help myself and what I needed to hear, because it is talking very loudly. It feels right now that it's speaking in Japanese. I really don't understand it, but I will figure it out. And I will share what new things I discover, what interesting breakthroughs happen. And I'm pretty sure we're going to end up in the whole nervous system, like deep in that nervous system world and, stored emotional trauma world to get through this and to move through it. So, and then I will be able to share all that and hopefully give you some ideas for how you can mentally, physically, and emotionally move through whatever you're going through. So I will give you some updates and look forward to having some good news to share soon. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.